The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm and applies pressure against the neck, leading to a tap or unconsciousness. The Darce, on the other hand.
Because I'm here for picks and plays with my guy. Oh shit, I got to flip and rip. Oh, I got tagged with that by Mr. Plus Money. Slick Montana. Tap, pang, pang, pow. Ones and twos. Shit, combos are smooth but lethal today. I like it.
Body shots.
Coming off an awesome UFC 302 card, really fun main event. I saw a lot of people online saying, oh, what a whack event. I disagree. I enjoyed it, but I'm easy to please. And we all did pretty well on the predictions. Me and Mr. Plus 8-4, Slick 6-6. So we all remain over 500 with the predictions, of course. And Mr. Plus, another parlay bus going straight through the front door of the bank. Well done, sir. What was that, your biggest win of the night, or how'd you fare on the card?
That was I think I did it for 2 units plus 274, whatever it ended up being. But no, the biggest win on the night for me was a plus 569. I actually bet it for 5 units. It was my most confident parlay, believe it or not. And it was just some of the favorites, man. If you parlayed some good favorites on this card, you made some really good coin. And that's exactly what we did. I will say this is the only thing that I wanted to mention about that main event. I know you guys are going to get right into it. Man, it had to end in a Darce. I mean, bro, Poirier, he had it, bro. Oh, I felt like it was 2-2 and going into that fifth. For me, second at 2 and 4 went to Poirier. Man, he really just changed the game. He cut him wide open. The elbow, the punches, the left. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting and exhilarating. And then unfortunately, how does it end, boys? He gets caught in the good old Darce. Ironically, the name of the show.
Of course, a lot of our viewers right away were messaging us online, the Darce, right? Whenever it's pulled off by someone, they're like, oh, it hit, right? But awesome, plus 500 banger, amazing main event fight. And Slick was in the building for it, in the Prudential Center. Dude, look, Mr. Plus said he had it 2-2. So did one judge, actually. One judge had the fight tied up going in the fifth. No, others had Islam up a couple rounds, but it was a great fight, and Poirier cut him open. How are you feeling? Was the crowd giving everything they could, all the energy to Dustin for his last shot, or what was the feeling inside the arena?
Man, I would say in that arena it was like at least 95% Dustin Poirier fans. Everybody, a mother to grandmoms had Dustin Poirier shirts, and when that light went off for Dustin Poirier's walkout, man, it was just quiet as a mouse because everybody just wanted to watch what may have been Dustin Poirier's last walkout into the octagon. So it was an epic card. There was a couple snoozers, I would say, like the Dawson fight, and I forgot what other snooze fest, but actually, ironically, there was more cheering during my Henny break, Edwards versus Perez, than there was for that Dawson fight. So pretty good card, I would say. I had some Henny in me. Great card for me.
There you go. You won't be bored if you go with the Slick method and just get some Henny in you during the fights you're not that interested in. He had a good time, I'm sure, and we all had some fun watching 302. But yeah, maybe a little to be desired. I don't get the backlash on the internet. I thought it was a good card. You can entertain me with a 5-round technical decision, right? That's just the fight fan in us, right? But we move on to UFC Fight Night Louisville, headlined by Jared Cannonier taking on Nassourdine Imavov. All of a sudden, extremely important fight at the middleweight division with the division wide open. You saw Strickland and Costa just go at it in the co-main of last week. Strickland gets the win. He says, I'm sitting on the sidelines. I'm waiting for UFC gold until I get that shot. So this fight is very big to see how that middleweight picture plays out. These are both title contenders. So I'm excited to talk the main event, but we'll wait for a little bit because, look, I mean, we got to start with the Mr.Plus Parlay Bus. It cashed last week. It cashed the week before. By the way, guys, the Darce Parlay cashed in back-to-back weeks, too. And we got to go to Mr. Plus. He's going to talk 3 fights, see if we can cash for a 3rd week in a row here. And these are 3 fights that I'm all looking at, fighters that are all favored. Who are you putting together for a plus 180 parlay?
We've been hot on these plays, boys, and we want to stay hot, so let's do it. It's another Mr.Plus Parlay Bus, and we're going to try and drive this thing straight to the teller again to collect some coin. First leg of the Parlay Bus this week, I'm looking at this Carlos Prates, man. He is a prospect. The dude is big. He's tall. He's lanky. He's got great striking. He's only had 1 UFC fight and 1 contender fight, but he's done amazing in both of them. Clean knockouts. Dude looks amazing. However, he's going up against Charles Radtke, who's not nobody, man. This guy's on a win streak as well. He only has 2 UFC fights, but he's won them both. He's short, he's stocky, he's built, he's 5'9", going up against 6'3". I just don't see it, man. I think that Prates is strong. I think he's going to be able to avoid getting taken down and held down, because I feel like that's Radtke's only way. The grappler versus striker. Styles make fights. I think this one's going to be pieced up. Radtke, you're going to see him bloody. I could see even a stoppage in the second or third round. That's leg number 1, right? For leg number 2, boys, we are headed up to the main card. I'm taking, I think that one might be on the main card. No, it's not. There we go. I'm taking Bruno Ferriera. This is just a mismatch. He's fighting Dennis Stoltzfus. And I mean, to me, all I remember from Stoltzfus is when he fought Abus Magomedov and just got absolutely brutally knocked out. I know he got a win in his last fight against Puno, who is on this card as well. But I just don't see it. I think this is going to be an easy knockout. I think Bruno comes in at a -275. I see a knockout, maybe first round, man. This guy's a tank. Very exciting fighter. I'm excited to see him again. And he's the second leg of the Mr.Plus Parlay Bus. For the last and final leg, we're taking Raul Rosas Jr. against Ricky Turcios. Again, another mismatch. Man, for a 19-year-old, this kid looks like a brick shit house. He is strong. He can hold you down. He'll grapple you. He'll get your back. He'll choke you out. That's exactly what he likes to do. Now, don't get me wrong. Ricky won't give up. He's one of those fighters that gets beat up a lot, and he doesn't just quit. But I just don't see it. He's kind of slick on the feet, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it to Raul. And I know that Raul's got some great cornering and great fight IQ. And I think as a young kid, he gets this job done. So that's the Mr.Plus Parlay Bus, boys. Let's cash in. It's plus 180. At least putting 2 or 3 units on it.
The parlay wizard. Let's see if he can strike again. You've been rolling, dude. And those are 3 fighters that I also really like. I mean, you take a look at the first guy you mentioned, Carlos Prates. Slick, he's fighting Charles Radtke, a guy that's got a big mouth. He got on the microphone and said some flagrant stuff after his last win, or win before that, I believe. I don't love the guy. He was a little out of pocket, I think. But he's strong. He's hard-nosed. He can grapple against, like Mr.Plus mentioned, Prates, long, rangy, pop in the shot striker. Those front kicks, those rangy straight punches. Do you think Radtke's going to give him a good fight, or do you think Prates just finds the chin and touches him?
The problem with Radtke that I would say that he has in this fight is that we've seen in his only 2 UFC fights that the other 2 opponents that he had moments. And that's one thing you don't want to do to a guy like Prates. We've seen in that fight against Giles, all he needed was one moment. This guy has that deft touch with that left hand. His knees, I think, are going to deter Radtke a little bit to go from going to the takedowns. He's going to show that knee early in the fight. And if Radtke just tries to get into a firefight with him, I think he sleeps Radtke. So I love Prates in this fight.
Yeah, I almost hope that Radtke uses his toughness, right? He's a tough guy, he can take a punch, but if you're using that as your best asset against a guy like Prates, that spells trouble. So hopefully Prates keep him away from him and touch him up. I like him as a parlay piece for sure, too. Mr.Plus also brought up Bruno Ferriera against Dustin Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus, like he said, he beat Punahale Soriano, which is kind of disappointing loss for Puna. And other than that, yeah, we remember Stoltzfus getting his face front kicked in to oblivion by Abus Magomedov. So now he takes on a dangerous power puncher in Ferriera. You do think Ferriera smokes him here?
This is just a good opportunity for Ferriera to keep bounce back off that Ruzaboyev knockout. He bounced back against Phil Hawes, and he's going against a guy in Dustin Stoltzfus that's not going to offer him anything on the feet. And the one thing I would say that will probably give Ferriera a little bit of trouble if this fight goes to the deeper waters. But I just think if that happens, that's going to be Dustin Stoltzfus initiating his wrestling, initiating the grappling. And I just don't think he has the grappling edge in this fight. Ferriera, for one person that has a lot of knockout, he has a real underrated jiu-jitsu game, reversal game. We even seen in that Phil Hawes fight, the way he was able to reverse Phil Hawes and land on top. So I think it's a good spot for Ferriera, man. Dustin Stoltzfus, he got that win off Puna, but Puna is just one of those guys that he becomes too predictable with his punches, and Dustin Stoltzfus was able to capitalize and wear him out. So I love Ferriera.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, especially about the Stoltzfus win over Puna. Puna fighting as an underdog against Miguel Baeza. We'll talk about that fight later, but it's a very interesting fight. But select good points there on Mr. Plus's picks. And Raul Rosas, Mr. Plus, I got to get your reaction to this. He was supposed to fight Ricky Turcios on Mexican Independence Day. The fight fell out like 15 minutes before it was set to go down. Apparently, Rosas got sick, but it became a whole kind of back and forth about 2 Hispanic fighters, I believe they're both Mexican, getting at each other on a fight day that was supposed to represent the fans, put on for Mexico, right? And he backed out. And he's saying, wow, you disappointed the fans. You have no pride. You have no heart. And he's kind of getting into him, playing those mind games. Whereas I imagine Rosas just, as much as he might have wanted to fight, didn't want to screw his career up by fighting sick. So they get back after it now. Do you think that's going to play into this fight at all? That kind of Mexican glory, heart angle? Or do you think he comes just poised to finish him right away?
I definitely don't think that has much to do with it, Brasco. I think that he was just sick and being smart, and again, like I said, he's got good cornering, good coaching, good fight IQ. This kid has a dream to be the youngest UFC champion ever. I'm not saying he's going to get there that quick, but I mean, they're definitely moving him up the ranks fast, making sure he can fight some certain people. And he took an L. We've seen him take an L, but we've seen him bounce back. So I think he gets another W here.
And it's like we saw him taking out to Christian Rodriguez. We like Christian Rodriguez a lot. I actually backed him in that fight. I backed him against Cameron Simon as well. He continues to look good. That's a tough fight. Slick, what do you think about Rosas versus Turcios? I want some breakdown on Ricky Turcios, one of the weirdest fighters you will ever see take an octagon.
Yeah, I would say Turcios, his takedown defense is just going to be his downfall in this spot, man. I think Raul Rosas is going to get any type of takedown he wants at any point in this fight. Turcios has like a 10% takedown defense, and he even gave up like 7 takedowns to Kevin Natividad in his last fight. He was able to edge out that decision, but you could arguably say that he could have lost his last 2 fights against Heastan and against Natividad. So I'm just not too high on this guy. I don't think he has the power to really deter Turcios, because we see Christian Rodriguez at least have power in his hands, at least have the grappling reversals to really deter Raul Rosas Jr. and wear on his gas tank. I just don't think Turcios is going to be able to stuff those takedowns. And I honestly think Raul Rosas get an early sub.
Early sub. I like it. Yeah, I do think he's the grappling edge. Mr.Plus is a strong young man. I mean, he might have this physical strength edge too when they tangle up. And minus 230, I think, is a good, valuable line there. I think he gets this one done. Turcios, who's a guy that's more like PFL, even live karate combat. I think he's got like a weird wonky, like he's like a martial artist, but it looks better than it actually performs functionally. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work. The moves don't quite work always. But yeah, edged out a couple ticky-tack decisions. I don't think he can do that here against Rosas. All right, guys. We got a good parlay for Mr.Plus. That brings us to the Brasco breakdown. And I'm going to the main event of the evening, guys. Jared Cannonier taking on Nasruddin Imavov. I like Jared Cannonier to get this one done as a plus 115 underdog. I was pretty surprised to see him as the dog. I would have expected him to be more like minus 150 perhaps. But Imavov certainly has proved himself as an elite middleweight fighter. He's a really good technical kind of outside point fighter. He can use his front kicks, his smart boxing, and his defense and good footwork laterally on the outside to stay away. But Cannonier does a really good job of tracking down his opponents, and he's fought all the best at middleweight. Take a look at Cannonier's resume. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whitaker, Derek Brunson, Anderson Silva. He even went up to light heavyweight and fought Glover Teixeira, Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz. Like, he's fought nothing but the best. He hasn't been knocked out in 6 years, so we know he's got a hell of a chin. And his boxing looked the best it ever has against Marvin Vettori in his last performance. He was bopping his head up and down, absolutely rattling a guy in Vettori's got a steel chin. So the way I see this fight, fellas, is maybe Imavov is kind of playing on the outside, ticky-tack, point fighting. Maybe he wins the first round as Cannonier starts to try to find him and get to him. Cannonier certainly got the power advantage, and if this fight gets deeper and he's landing good shots later on, I could see Imavov wilting away maybe in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. We saw him gas against Sean Strickland, a fight that he lost a couple fights ago. A fight that Sean Strickland took on just 5 days' notice. Now, of course, Strickland is a different beast, right? Savage guy. But we've seen Imavov lose to guys that come in with less preparation than him. So I think Imavov, as the fight goes on deeper, which I believe it will wilt a little bit. And I think Cannonier will be landing the better shots, mixing in calf kicks, moving forward, controlling the center, and edging out a victory as a 40-year-old middleweight, 12 years older, yet pretty much like a pick'em fight. And the line is moving towards Cannonier too. Usually see those guys much bigger underdogs when they're 12 years in discrepancy. So I like the experience here, and I like Imavov, but I don't think he's ready for a guy like Cannonier. It's just too tough and too strong. Give me Jared Cannonier, Mr.Plus. What are you thinking about the plus money tag on the dog in the main event?
I was watching some tape on Imavov. the Curtis fight. And man, he just has a bounce, man. And this is a big octagon. And I just feel like he's going to be light on his feet and really be able to make space and bounce around. And you're right, maybe first, second round, all him. I mean, if this goes into deep waters, which it probably will, Cannonier definitely has the edge. I just it's tough for me, man. The age gap and the up and coming Imavov. I think I'm leaning his way. Honestly, I think I'm leaning Imavov because I know we need to make picks. I'm probably not going to bet this fight. I do want to watch it though and see what happens. And it really depends on how the card's going, whether or not I'm going to bet the last fight of the night, especially this one that's so even. And like you said, the line is even shifting and moving. And I kind of got to wait a little bit, kind of wait till weigh-ins, till Slick gives us that second report after weigh-ins, you know? So I don't know, man. I do lean Imavov though. I like that karate style. I like his bounce. He's a beast, man. I'm not that Cannonier doesn't have the resume because he absolutely does. He's fought nothing but dogs, but you know, Vittori's way more flat-footed than Imavov. Imavov's going to be able to bounce around that big octagon. So I kind of like him to piece him up, maybe hurt him. You know, I don't see him going down. Like you said, he doesn't get knocked out, but yeah, maybe he could sneak 3 rounds and get the split decision or something. And hey, who knows who's doing the judging this time? So if this one's going to decision, you just never know. You just never know.
And great points too. Imavov certainly has really nice footwork, very bouncy, like you said, stays light on his feet. MMA lab guys right in France, like Cyril Gahn trains with those guys right there, just floating out there on the octagon. So it is nice. And great point about the judging, dude. Oh my God, UFC 302 judging was abysmal. The first, Dave Torelli giving the fight to Mitch Raposo, which he clearly lost every round, and then giving 4 rounds to Paulo Costa. That's psychotic. But that actually cashed me a +5.5 spread bet on Costa. So shout out to him. In any case, that's neither here nor there. Slick, how are you feeling about the main event? Mr. Plus is leaning Imavov, but watching the line, not quite sure. And sometimes it is better to stay off the main event after a long night of betting. What do you think? Are you going to attack the main event?
Yeah, I actually threw a unit on Cannonier in this spot. I just like the one thing that does concern me is his age, but the one thing that I like about it, he has been active. He had 3 fights in 2022, had a fight in 2023. So it hasn't been a whole year since he hasn't had another fight. And the one thing that I think that the UFC promised him, if he wins this fight, he'll probably be in a title contender his next fight. I just like the calf kicks, his evolution with the calf kicks, and I think that's going to deter Imavov from moving out around a little bit in those later rounds. So I think, I honestly think Cannonier does have the power edge in this spot. I think he does have that. I want to say one punch knockout, but at least one of those types of punches that will hurt you. We've seen him do it to Castellum. We've seen him do it to Marvin Vettori, almost landed 200 and something strikes at 39 years old. So I think it's a good spot for Cannonier, but I wouldn't rule out Imavov. He is one of those guys that could end up trying to get the grappling edge. And Cannonier has shown that sometimes, even though Derek Brunson is more of a wrestler, the grapplers could give him trouble. So I think it's a good spot for Cannonier, though, to get that dog money.
All right, so you're taking the dog, but casting some doubts here. Yeah, I like the point Mr. Plus made about Vettori and flat-footedness too, because I will say that's true. He's certainly much more hittable than a guy that moves like Imavov. But prior to that, Cannonier beat Sean Strickland in a split decision win in which he just moved forward and did a little more and mixed it up. It was a close fight, but if you can figure out and actually have success and win 3 rounds against the puzzle that is Sean Strickland, I got some confidence in you. So it's going to be a really good main event fight. I'm looking forward to it. I like the points that all the fellas made on that. We will see. All right, that takes us to the Slick Report. And we're going to go to a fight that I did not expect Slick to be covering here, but it's Julian Marquez. Julian Marquez taking on Zachary Reese. This is a head scratcher to me. Slick, please let the people know where to bet on this fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Julian Marquez money line in this spot. I just think I'm gonna be able to trust him in those second and third rounds if it becomes a dogfight, because more than likely these guys are gonna stand and bang. Reese probably shoots a takedown or something, but I don't believe it. And the one thing that deters me from Reese was his outside competition outside the UFC. It was horrible, man. These guys were not good. And then one good fight that he actually fought against Cody Brundage, I'm not even worried about the head slam knockout. Like, Cody Brundage actually knocked him down before that. Like, that's why he was on the ground. He knocked him down. And I just think if Julian Marquez was able to catch him with something good, I think he's going to be able to at least wear on him, get him to that second and third round. And if Zach Reese, he's never been to a second round, so I'm not sure how to trust him in those later rounds. I think it's a good spot for Marquez to really get back on track after, he had a couple good moments in that Gregory Rodriguez fight. He had a couple good moments in that Mark Andre Barrio fight. I just think it's a good spot for him to bounce back against a guy that honestly won't lose no stock against Marquez. Like, I think Zachary Reese, if he loses this fight, he'll be right back in the UFC because he's just one of those guys that's a fun fighter to watch. So give me Julian Marquez to bounce back.
Very interesting here. Mr. Plus, like Slick mentioned, the last we saw of Zachary Reese, he was coming in, making his debut. Guy's got submission skills, long, rangy fighter. He's got good kicks, and he gets head slammed by Cody Brundage. Cold after he was in a triangle choke or an armbar, kind of, looking for a sub attempt. Head slam, cold. Do you like Marquez to beat him coming back? Marquez looking, like Slick said, to come on and bounce back. He's coming off 2 straight knockouts. So who do you like getting the dub?
I haven't seen some of these fighters in a long time. Julian Marquez is one of them. I missed him. Where you been? Where you been, bro? I'm happy he's back. He's a tank. He looks huge. He's gonna look humongous in this fight, and he is. He's a brick shit house. I like him too, Slick. I think that he can get it done. I haven't seen anything from Zachary Reese. Show me something, man. I mean, he's just hasn't beat anybody. Level of competition so low, not UFC caliber. Julian Marquez has been in the UFC again. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's back. I'm taking him as well, Slick. Give me him the win. I think he gets a job done in the second round. I could see a knockout.
I just checked to double check Slick's research. It is true. Zachary Reese has never been to the second round in his pro career. So, yeah, I can't back that for sure. I don't want to bet on this fight, but I'm going to lean with the fellas here and go with Julian Marquez as well. The last I remember, Marquez, when he beat maybe Sam Alvey or he got like an anaconda choke, and he asked out Miley Cyrus on the microphone. That was his moment, 15 minutes of fame. He asked Miley Cyrus on a date. So maybe he can get back to that and have better success this time. Slick Report going with Julian Marquez. All right, guys. Open up them cages and let them out because it's time for the dogs of the week. And I gave you mine already. I'm going main event. I'm going Jared Cannonier. You heard the points I made already for him. So I'll go right to Mr. Plus. Well, he's taking an underdog that we've cashed before, and she's definitely got that junkyard dog in her. Who do you like as your dog of the week?
Nobody's going to like this one. I've seen people fading this and taking Moura as a parlay piece even. I don't like it, man. I know she's strong and she's going to be the bigger girl, but give me Denise Gomes. She is a junkyard dog. And, when you talk about some people that'll fight for your money, she's one that'll fight for your fucking money. She does not play around. She's going to fight to tooth and nail. My fear is her takedown defense, but that's why you camp. That's why you get better. You improve as an MMA fighter. So I'm excited to see her takedown defense against somebody stronger than her. And how does she keep it on the feet? And how does she escape and get back to where she's comfortable? But I really do like her at this plus 135 tag, I believe. And there's a reason that Moura is not a minus 250. So they see it, the line makers see it close to a pick 'em. I'm going with the dog here. Don't be surprised if she gets her hand raised in an electric, crazy girl fight. I think it'll be more exciting than you think because Denise Gomes always makes them exciting. And although she does usually get finishes, I think Moura is strong, can last, and I see a 29-28 victory for our girl, Denise Gomes.
Wow, going decision, which is actually, would be a rarity in a Gomes fight.
Rare for her.
Brings the fight. Fights are always fun to watch. Slick, how are you feeling about this matchup between Eduarda Moura and Denise Gomes?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lean Moura in this spot. Like Mr. Plus said, it's gonna be a worrisome with that takedown defense. A girl like Angela Hill, that's nowhere near a type of wrestler, had 5 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time in her last fight. And then once the fight was on the feet, you just seen the power diminish from a girl like Gomes in those later rounds. I just think Moura is going to be able to get the takedowns. And I honestly think that she's going to be able to strike with her. I think her striking is real underrated because of her ground and pound skills and all her finishes. So I think it's a good spot for Moura, man. I think she gets the takedowns. Like Mr. Plus said, it's crazy because the over 2.5 is minus 145, and the under 2.5 is plus 114. I actually was gonna sprinkle the under 2.5 at that plus money for the simple fact that if Gomes win, I think she wins in the early rounds, and if Moura wins, she probably got the takedowns early, wear on Gomes, and probably gets a TKO or a sub in the later rounds. So I think it's a good spot for that plus money under 2.5.
I kind of like that, man. I mean, yeah, we're talking about Gomes fights, and look, I got to agree. I hate to go against your dog of the week, but I like Moura too. Maybe you had Kopylov last week. We both had Almeida, so you're the one laughing at us here. But I do agree. Like I've actually had a pretty good read on Denise Gomes so far. I cashed on her as a plus 300 dog against Yasmin Yaragüe on that pay-per-view event. I forget which one it was, but those two wins she had against Bruna Brazil, the knockout win, and then Yaragüe were both against, I don't want to say inexperienced, but less experienced, newer to the UFC kickboxers that she just got up in there, made it a dirty fight, cracked them, and they couldn't handle the pressure. Then she faced Angela Hill, and it went a little differently. Moore, I think, can have the ability to put her on the ground and zap the gas tank and take that kind of ability to dirty box and kind of overwhelm you early on away. So I like the style there of Moura. If she can't get the takedown early and Gomes has the chance to make it dirty, she'll definitely be live. But I think it'll hit the mat and Moura will start to take over and wear on her. So I lean Moura. Slick does too. Mr.Plus likes Gomes as a dog, and hey, she's been a dog that cashed big money dog before. So I ain't mad at it anyway. Slick, who are you going for with your dog of the week?
Yeah, my dog of the week, I'm gonna go with Thiago Moises in this spot. I really like the evolution of his striking that has been coming apart. He's been adding that calf kick to his game. He's actually been going for more takedowns than not, because that was the one concern about Thiago Moises. Had a great jiu-jitsu background, jiu-jitsu black belt, I would say, and he just didn't really shoot for takedowns. He was one of those guys that just took opportunities, like try to get your back standing and stuff like that. But now he's been shooting takedowns, and now he's been more confident in his striking. That I would say, tit for tat with Klein, you really don't want to do. But I just think that he's gonna make this all around MMA fight. And we've seen guys like Nate Landwehr, that's one tough motherfucker. He was able to wear on Klein, take some punishment, and then get Klein in those later rounds and get the sub. I think it's a good spot for Thiago Moises. So give me Thiago Moises money line.
This is another really good fight. Mr.Plus, I'm very curious to hear where you're at here. A lot of lines on this card, very bettable, right? A lot of the money lines, pretty much close to even odds. And this one is one of them. Moises plus 105 right now, and Klein about minus 120. What side are you on so far on a Monday?
I'm really undecided on this one. I might bet it, but I feel like Ludwig Klein looked so good in his last fight. I just the dude's always in the best shape and like really ready to fight. If he looks the same, I'm probably gonna go with him. Thiago Moises, he's all right. He'd be like Mitch Ramirez. He lost to Benoit Saint Denis. Obviously, that's a good loss. I don't know. He's getting a little older for me. I kind of like Ludwig Klein. He looked really good his last fight.
Yeah, I was leaning Klein as well, so I was surprised to hear Slick was on Moises. He certainly has, you would think, the grappling advantage, dangerous jiu-jitsu. So if he can get it to the ground, then he'll have the advantage. And although Klein looked great in his last fight, he was fighting AJ Cunningham, who's one of the most hittable dudes in the UFC. He is a heavy bag walking forward at you. So, hey man, kid's tough as hell, but oh my God, he got punished. Klein beat him up. Klein actually did better on him than I do at the heavy bag in the gym by myself. Like, it was impressive. So yeah, he's a sharp right now. I lean his way for that reason. He looks like a beast. Should be a good fight there. All right, guys. Dogs of the week there. It's time to put together our Darce parlay. And we're hit our last two. As the people in the comments were chirping us, you guys never hit a Darce. Never. Boom. There's two for you. Let's make it third. We're not done. I'm going to start it off. I'm going with Taylor Lapilus. He's minus 270. He's the first leg. He's fighting a guy named Cody Stamann on the prelims here. And Stamann, we've seen in the UFC for a while, guys. He's been around. He's fought a lot of guys. He's a wrestler, boxer. He's tough. He's got cardio. He's just one of these, like, such a mid-level fighter, right? Like, I like the guy, and he's certainly like a solid fighter. He's just never going to beat anyone with more skill than him. Like, he can't kind of find that edge, and he loses a lot of 29-28s or 30-27s where he just ends up toughing it out, making it to the decision, but not having enough to control you or land a big shot and really punish you. And I don't think he's going to be able to be a step ahead of Taylor Lapilus here, a guy who they gave Farid Basharat to way too early. Lapilus has a lot of skill. He's a good kickboxer, good grappling defense, has some grappling of his own. And I felt like just giving him Basharat right away was like kind of disrespectful. Like, Lapilus, let the guy grow a little bit. Don't just feed him to the wolves right away. So this is a matchup in which I think he can get his dub. And I think Stamann's sort of on the way out a little bit. He's still, he's got years left in him, but what's he really going to do, right? He's just going to have these kinds of fights. So give me Taylor Lapilus, probably by decision, to cash our first leg of the Darce. And we'll kick it over to you, Mr. Plus. Who do you like next?
Yeah, and I like that play too. I think Lapilus just, I don't have a huge breakdown on it. I think he keeps it on the feet, and that's where he's going to win this fight all day. And I think he's strong. I don't think he's going to be able to be taken down by someone like Stamann. So I love that. Good first leg. I already gave you the breakdown on this one. I'm going Rosas Jr. for my leg of the parlay. I want to make sure we win this for you boys. And for me, that seems like such an easy leg for me.
I love minus 230 on Rosas too. I feel like you should be closer to minus 300. Slick, what's your leg?
Yeah, we basically talked about this one leg of Mr.Plus Parlay Bus. We're going with Bruno Ferriera in this spot. I think he's going to be able to get the knockout in the early round. If not, get the jiu-jitsu play, get a sweep, get a choke.
I love it. Put those three together. Taylor Lapilus, Raul Rosas Jr., and Bruno Ferreira. You're getting yourself plus 170. We had a plus 159, a plus 224 last week, plus 170. It's a good range here, kind of plus 150 to plus 250 range. That's what we're looking for. So there you go. All right. Let's talk about the fights we haven't talked about. It's the honorable mentions of the UFC Fight Night Louisville card. And whoa, the co-main event of the evening, fellas. Dominic Reyes returns, taking on Dustin Jakoby. Really interesting stylistic matchup. Reyes really needs a win bad, man. I mean, he's taken some brutal knockouts and a guy that arguably beat John Jones. We still look back at that and say, maybe you could have scored that title fight for Dominic Reyes and would have changed the course of MMA history if the judges gave him that. All of a sudden, from there to like, man, we're wondering if he can take a punch anymore. Taking on a really sharp Glory kickboxing pro in Dustin Jakoby. Mr. Plus, Justin Jakoby minus 220, Reyes plus 180. Do you have any faith in Reyes to be able to take? I mean, he's still got plenty of skill, but do you think he can take a punch from Jakoby?
I'm really just not that high on Dustin Jakoby. So I kind of feel like Reyes is the better all around fighter. I'm just scared. We haven't seen him in a year and a half. He's taken some time off. Like I said before, a lot of these fighters on this card, including one we're going to talk about in a little bit, the Baez fight. These guys just haven't been around for a while. I haven't seen him in a minute. But yeah, I'm happy he's back. Reyes is pretty exciting to watch, man. He'll bang, he'll clinch, he'll knee, he'll do everything. Body shots, man. He's not scared to getting close. We question his chin because all those knockouts, but those are the champions. He got knocked out by all champs. John Jones, Jan, who was his other loss? I mean, Yuri. Come on, man. Before the Ryan spam one.
Right.
Those are three champions. I mean, like, they're good. They're good losses. But yeah, I worry about his chin. But he took a good year and a half off. I think he's ready to come back. I mean, if he's ready to fight, I think he's ready to come back. And he's a big dude, man. 6'4", stand up. And Jacoby's just gonna want to stand up and do Muay Thai. Man, I'm taking the dog.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that, but you're right. I mean, look, you like to see he took a lot of time off, like you mentioned. The knockouts were to Jan Blachowicz and guys like that, and then, yeah, Ryan Spann, power jab. Hate to see that, but took a lot of time off after the knockout. He's a big athletic guy. He's had the potential to fight a razor close one with John Jones. So if he can get back to that level or even close to it, Slick, I mean, Mr. Plus said he's kind of down on Dustin Jakoby. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights all of a sudden. He got robbed in that Khalil Roundtree fight. It was a split decision. He should have won that. So we'll flip that to a W. But even so, Azamat Murzakanov beat him fair and square. And then Alonzo Menafield dropped him twice. I mean, Menafield really surprised in that one. Cashed as a dog for us. What are you feeling about Jakoby in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm not high on Jakoby either, but I'm high on him in this matchup for the simple fact that I already know Reyes is going to bring that type of style that he always brings. And that style is always going to get him clipped, especially against a kickboxer type of fighter with Reyes. I mean, I say with Reyes. With Jakoby, he's going to wait for that good opportunity. Like, we've seen Jakoby get first-round knockouts. He's just one of those guys, especially in those later rounds, that could wear on you in the second and third round and just outpoint you. Like, even in that Menafield fight, he was winning every second of a round until he gets dropped. Khalil Roundtree got robbed basically because of Khalil Roundtree's power. Azat Mirzakhanov had the grappling edge, took him down, beat him up for real. I just don't think Reyes is going to be able to, like, I would say, even have a gas tank in that second and third round, because the last fight that he actually went close to the third round was that John Jones fight that he went all 5 rounds. At least Jakoby, he has lost 3 of his last 4 fights, but he's been active. He's been in the gym. And the one thing that really deterred me from betting against Reyes his last 3 fights is that once you get knocked out and you take a little bit of time off, your timing is not going to be there. And it wasn't there for that Ryan Spann fight. And it clearly showed that all Ryan Spann had to do was land one clean jab, and it was damn near over. So I just think he's getting in that trajectory of the Phil Halls and the Fialos that once you see him get those clean knockouts, like that elbow from Yuri, that's the type of knockout that you take like at least 2-3 years off, man. That was scary to watch. And I honestly had Yuri in that spot, but oh my God. And then it just showed that he couldn't take a punch against Ryan Spann. Blachowicz beat him to death with those body kicks and then just knocked him out. I just don't think Reyes is gonna be that one guy that will always be that guy that what if, against. So give me Justin Jakoby against the what if.
The what if, one of the greatest what ifs. Oh my goodness. Interesting breakdown there from Slick. Yeah, the one thing that's been sitting in my mind's eye is Reyes is a southpaw. Jakoby is a seasoned orthodox kickboxer with timing. The right hand is coming. The right hand is coming if it touches Reyes. I will be worried. But a year and a half off, maybe he comes back fresh. We'll see. I'm surprised the bold shot from Mr.Plus, but his name is Mr.Plus, guys. He didn't get that from taking minus 150. So credit to him there. Another good fight. That's the co-main. Daniel Marcos taking on John Casteneda. This is another pretty much pick'em fight. Marcos, kickboxer, minus 115. Casteneda, minus 105. Slick. Casteneda, I guess, mixes his game up a little more than Marcos. And Marcos, very technical, defensive game in his kickboxing. He doesn't really go for it, though, and kind of look to inflict the damage. He kind of just wins on points. Like, this is a tight one to call. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lean Marcos in this spot. I just think his takedown defense is gonna keep this fight on the feet. And if it is fight on the feet, I think Castaneda is gonna bring the fight out of him. Castaneda is not gonna just sit there and outpoint you like Marcos did against I forgot, I think it was Davy Grant. And then but he looked pretty aggressive in his last fight against Alatang Haley. Showed pretty like basically what we wanted to see from him, that aggressive style. So I'm gonna lean Marcos, but I honestly love the over 2.5 in this spot. I think it goes to the decision more likely than not. Both guys don't really have that knockout power, but I think the one worry would be the knees and the body shots from a guy like Marcos. So I lean Marcos, but honestly, I'll probably throw like a half a unit on it. Nothing big on me.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, usually going to decision, a lot of Marcos fights, but he does have good body work. And yeah, he beat Arichi Long in his last fight. Got overturned to a no contest. Oh no, yeah, unintentional groin strike. That's right, stop the fight. That was a weird one, and very lucky for Arichi Long. Marcos versus Castaneda, Mr.Plus. Who do you like?
I'm leaning Marcos, but that's a padded 15-0 record. And like you just said, he's one of the, I would say, least aggressive Peruvians, because Peruvian dudes usually will put their heads down and just fucking swing and go right at you like dogs. But he's very calculated and a little bit slower. And I did like his last fight against like Slick said, he looked more aggressive, Richie Lang. But I do think he gets the job done in a more boring fight and decision, but not in love with betting this one at all.
Agree. Leaning Marcos too. Mr.Plus loves his Peruvian fighters. We should do a UFC Machu Picchu card. Okay. And what else do we got? A couple more to cover. Brad Katona. Brad Katona. Creepy looking face. Taking on Jesse Butler. Jesse's girl. Brad Katona's
Canada.
now. Brad Katona's a minus 600. Is he Canadian? Cal's Canadian, right? I believe.
Mr. Katona is Canadian, although I don't know if he. I think he pretends he's British or something. He's one of my least favorite Canadians in the MMA community.
He's got an interesting personality, to say the least. He's a huge favorite against Jesse Butler, a guy we last saw getting cold slept by Jim Miller. Is the same going to happen? I mean, Katona's not really a knockout artist. He guys just pours the pressure on you, can wrestle, super tough, amazing cardio. I'll give him that. Is it Katona decision? Because he's minus 600. I don't want to lay a minus 600 on a guy I think is going to win by decision. Mr.Plus, does he have a chance to get him out of here? I know props aren't up yet, but what do you think?
I hate everything about this fight, and Brad Katona, the most exciting fighter in the UFC. Oh my God, bro. How do they keep this guy around? He pretends that he's from Ireland and that he's part of Conor McGregor's team. Remember? That's what he does. And he puts on different accents when he's around different people. I'm sure if he lived with a bunch of black guys, he would turn ghetto as fuck. Like, this dude is as fake as they come. He is a $3 bill, and he's a minus 600 fucking tag, and we have to pick a side. We're obligated to pick a side here. I mean, I'm fading Brad Katona. Fuck you, Brad Katona. I'm taking the L. I don't care. I'm going against. I'm going against him. I can't even go with him. Fuck Brad Katona.
Wow, he's fading Bracatona because he says he code switches. That's so funny. Yeah, and the Ultimate Fighter season, he was on the veterans team, and he wanted to get traded to the SBG team because those were his coaches. He was so thirst to get on Conor McGregor's team. Mr. Plus lost all respect for him. Slick, who do you have in this fight?
I got Katona. It's not really nothing much to talk about this fight. Minus 600. I'm not even gonna bet this fight.
Decision or knockout? I mean,
I was that plus 185 for the under 2.5 was looking at my eye. You know, maybe Katona try to come out here aggressive and get Butler tired, but I don't know if I'm a better, but I'll pick Katona.
Yeah, I gotta go Katona. Butler has been a decision plenty of times in his career. I'm not that interested in betting this fight. Mr. Plus, did you want to chime in one more thing?
This should count as a couple wins if this wins, just so we're clear. And yeah, what I was gonna chime in with when you just said you were talking about the Ultimate Fighter, when he was so thirsty to get on Conor's team, he literally threw on an Irish accent. I'm not kidding. I thought he was from Ireland when I was watching the show. I was like, wait a minute, isn't he Canadian? The fuck is going on here? It was insane. It was literally nuts.
They can have him.
That's like the Mackenzie Dern situation, right? Spent too much time in Brazil, all of a sudden is speaking Portuguese. Okay, what else we have? Oh, Punahale Soriano taking on Miguel Baeza. Interesting fight. Both guys fairly disappointing in the UFC. Baeza came in hot and was getting knockouts and finishes, and we were like, whoa, all right, let's see it. And then they gave him Santiago Ponzinibbio as a level too high. He went decision, but Ponzinibbio had his way with him. And now Baeza coming off back-to-back knockout losses. Then you have a guy in Puna that just lost to Dustin Stoltzfus. And I saw Punahale Soriano go to Extreme Couture. I was really excited about him, maybe his improvements, his athleticism. I like the guy coming in the UFC. Slick, like you said, he's so predictable now. He's like an overhand left, and that's about it. So Baeza is the minus 180 favorite. I was surprised to see. I didn't think we'd see Baeza as a favorite for a long time, if he ever returned even. He's back. What do you think about this fight? Are you going to back Baeza or anyone?
I mean, Baeza, I think is going to have the speed advantage in this spot, but I'm not like as a pick. I'm gonna pick Baeza, but I'm not betting on either one of these guys. Anything could happen in this fight, honestly. Like either one of these guys could have like Punahale could land that overhand right that I could see from 3 blocks away on Miguel Baeza's chin, and he could knock him out. Baeza could get this fight down to the ground and make himself look like a minus 1,000 favorite. I just think anything can happen in this fight. I love the under 2.5 in this fight. You get it like minus 200, minus 220. Great parlay piece for me. I just think that this fight is not going to make the scorecards. Both these guys have something to prove. And we've seen Puna, when he had something to prove, he tried to go all in on Darce Lugambula, and he got the knockout there. So maybe he tries to go all in this fight and he gets the knockout. But honestly, I could see Baeza just taking this fight down to the ground and just getting some type of back take and getting the choke. So give me Baeza as a pick, but I'm not betting on either one of these guys.
I kind of like that under look because it's like a back against the wall fight, right? If either guy loses this one, where do you go from here with the UFC? Mr. Plus, Baeza's last knockout was against Andre Fialho, a guy that we've been talking down on. So what do you think there?
Yes, this is true. But remember, that was one of Fialho's first fights when he looked really good. And, that was 2 years ago. Again, another UFC fighter, blast from the past, coming back. This is one I'm talking about. I like Baeza, man. Before he dropped those 3 fights, he was 10-0. And those are all good losses. I was just looking at him. Chaos Williams knockout, Ponzinibbio lost, and Fialho when he was like the golden boy in the beginning, before he lost, before he took the L to Jake Matthews, and then everybody started knocking him out. So I lean Baeza to come back and be good. I think this too. I don't know why these guys are taking so much time off. I hope they were active in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's just real spars where you're fighting and not just sparring. So I don't know. I lean Baeza. I think Puna's done after this one.
I agree. Baeza the lean for sure. Like Flex said, if he takes it to the ground, I think if after watching Dustin Stoltzfus do it, I think Baeza could do it too. So that's his biggest advantage probably. We got a couple more, and then we'll get up out of here. Andrea Lee minus 140 against Montana De La Rosa. Lee, the veteran, De La Rosa. I mean, I see Slick's face already. Is this the Henny break of the week?
Yes, it is, man. I don't want to back either of these girls. I'll pick Andrea Lee as a pick, but I'm not leaning either way. Both these girls suck.
Oh wow, disrespectful.
Over 2.5.
Over 2.5, Cal. He's gone over.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you be mad at the over? It should.
Yeah.
It's distance, lead, experience. I'll give it to her on that, Mr. Plus.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely. I've been taking off drinking, but I might take a drink break for this fight. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm leaning Andrea Lee. I mean, these two girls have like the same record and both suck. And yeah, no, who wants to watch this shit? Can they stop putting these fights on cards?
Andrea Lee doesn't suck. Let's have some. She's been around forever. She's gotten in some good fights. Montana De La Rosa, I'm not going to necessarily have her back, but I got Andrea Lee's back a little bit. I think she beats her. Montana De La Rosa is 12-9. Her last 4 fights, Macy Barber lost. Tatiana Suarez guillotine choke. Okay, that's going to happen. JJ Aldrich beat her, and then Jillian Robertson beat her in a grappling tournament. So it's been losses for Montana De La Rosa. I'll go Andrea Lee lean. Last fight at the card, guys. Wait, you guys were disrespectful for the last one. This one's Puja Tomar taking on Amanda Hayani dos Santos. Slick left. Slick's so disrespectful that he left for this fight. He was like, I don't even need to work anymore. I'm done working. Puja Tomar, Mr. Plus, is the first Indian female MMA fighter ever. She's plus 230. Dos Santos minus 280. Any thoughts on this fight at all?
Not many thoughts on this one, boys. I mean, I gotta maybe go with Amanda because she's been here longer. I am not betting $1 on this fight, boys.
Like,
Roll it backward.
I lean the favorite.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Slick, give us your 1 hour breakdown on Puja Tomar versus Amanda Hayani dos Santos.
Tomar can't stop. Can't stop a sub to save her life. Once props come out, I'm betting Santos sub. Other than that, I'm not betting nothing on this fight.
All right, there's a look though. Yeah, Tomar, chick coming from with Matrix, one championship. That's right. So she does have some wins, some fights there, and she's gotten ground and pound. She's gotten triangled. So some bad looks on the ground. Slick gave you an angle there in that fight. We've done it, fellas. Just to reiterate, the Darce parlay, Lapilus, Rosas, Ferriera. You can go back. Cal segmented each of the fights, so go back and cover every fight that you're interested in betting on. And fellas, we did the damn thing. UFC Fight Night Louisville. Mr. Plus, any parting words for the people?
No, this should be a great card. And, there's fights every week coming up. June is fight season. PFL, UFC, back to back to back to back. So get ready, get excited. More Darce show to come. And we appreciate you guys. Thanks for subscribing, hitting the notification and the like button. We appreciate you.
Yeah, for real. Absolutely, man. Slick, what do you got to say for UFC Fight Night Louisville as we head out?
Yeah, I'm just hoping we get more than 2 finishes this whole card. It's a lot of good matchups that there could happen. But other than that, like Mr. Plus said, like, subscribe, get us the comments. We love whenever you tell us your bets on the comments. If you like our bet, you disagree with our bet, just put it in the comments. At the end of the day, comments help us, and it doesn't really cost anything for you to do it. So appreciate everybody. Like and subscribe, and let's get this money.
That's right, guys. Fire away. Let us know. Even if you have nothing to say, just put a fire, put a W, whatever it is. And let's win for UFC Fight Night Louisville. From the Darce Parlay, Mr. Plus, Slick Montana, Cal on the ones and twos. I'm Danny Brasco, and we're out. Peace.